Hi everyone! So a couple of weeks ago, I asked you guys to send me some questions via Instagram, and I promise you guys that I will answer the questions right after my finals week, which is now done, so I really have no excuses not to make this video, so here we are, Q&A session. The only thing is, as you might have noticed, we are here on YouTube as opposed to Instagram, and that's because Instagram is a really great platform, but it doesn't leave so much room for discussions. So I kind of wanted to invite you guys over here. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sayaka and I am a professional ballet dancer. So I hope you still recognize me even without my pointe shoes and tutu and whatnot. So anyways, we have a lot of questions today and I want to answer as much as possible, so let's dive right in. So let's see what kind of questions I have today. Are you born in Japan? Yes, I am. Actually, this is a question that I get asked all the time because I maybe somehow don't look so Japanese or I don't behave in a Japanese way, but yes, I am. I'm born in Japan and I grew up there until the age of 13. And so while I was growing up there, the thing is I went to an international school, so I never really went to Japanese public school. I mean, I went there for like 2 weeks, but that's, nothing. So I went to an international school, which means I always had an American education. And then when I was 13 years old, I left to Toronto, Canada. And then I studied later on in Belgium, in Antwerpen. And so that was actually like my childhood. And so that's why maybe people don't see me or don't recognize that I'm actually Japanese. But I'm born in Japan and I'm 100% Japanese still. How centimeters and kilograms? Guys, like, I know I look really tall in photos, but I'm really small. Like, I'm like 5'1", which is like 155 centimeters. And I know, like, the photographers are doing an amazing job because, like, they're on the grounds, and like, I look like a dinosaur. Like, I look so humongous in all of these photos, but in reality, I'm like probably like the tiniest person that you'll ever meet. And as for my weight, I actually don't know my weight because I think for like the past 10 years I haven't weighed myself, and that's because when I was around like 16, 17 years old, like I really had a difficult time with my body weight. Like I kind of got into like a semi-eating disorder, and that's why like I had to stop weighing myself because I was getting totally obsessed with the numbers. So I actually don't know my weight. Too many questions and one smile for you. How is your voice? Obviously,
my voice is very low.
What dance move was the most difficult to learn? I think the pirouette into the attitude turn is really difficult. It's in Black Swan. What is your favorite anime? I don't really watch animes, but if I were to pick something, it would be Studio Ghibli's, I think it's Grave of the Fireflies, Hotaru no Haka in Japanese. So it's a World War II tragedy film and it's obviously really heartbreaking. What are you studying? My degree is in business with minors in economics and psychology. Yeah. How many languages do you speak fluently? So I think I speak around like 4 at the moment. It's English, Japanese, German, and Russian-ish. I learned German during the pandemic and Russian because I learned that when I was in school in Toronto. I went to a Russian ballet school. And then I also lived in Russian ex-Soviet countries, so Armenia, Russia, Kazakhstan, these are all places where you would speak Russian, so I did that. I did learn Turkish and Dutch. So Turkish because I lived there, and also Dutch because I did my high school studies there when I was in Belgium. But I forgot these 2 languages, so I'm not counting them, so I think it's like 4 languages. How to start in the model industry in Germany? Agencies, photographers, and castings. We can do a whole video on this, but in general, I would say like start small. So maybe there are photographers that you can find on Instagram that you want to work with. Also, I used to take a lot of photos by myself, so that could be a way that you could boost up your portfolio so that you can bring them to places. And as for agencies and castings, I really have to be honest with you, I don't have so much experiences with that because I've done everything as a freelancer up until now. It depends on what you're going for, so that's my opinion. In how many countries have you been to? I think it was around like 30 countries, but I stopped counting after a while, so I've been around, yeah. How are you these days and will you stay in Europe? This follower is probably asking because they've seen my pictures and posts where I talk about how I'm not doing fine, and that's actually true because I am still on long-term sick leave because of my back pain. So since a very long time now, I have back pain, and which is coming probably from my hip, but that is kind of spreading now up until my neck and my shoulder blades. So it's actually like a really tough moment in my life right now. And as for the second question, yeah, I'm staying in Europe for now, and I think Germany is my home for the next few years at least, but let's see. I mean, I haven't stayed in a place for more than 5 years, so this is actually the first time I'm staying for such a long time. So yeah, we'll see. Swan Lake or Nutcracker? It depends. I mean, if it were to watch, it would definitely be Swan Lake because it's so beautiful. It's such a classic, you can't replace that. But if it were to dance, it would be Nutcracker because physically speaking, it's so much easier. I mean, especially if you are the principal couple, like you just come in, you do like a grand pas de deux, like a 8 to 10 minutes thing, and then you're kind of over. So Nutcracker. 肉体全体美しいです。その筋肉美はバレエだけで作られたものですか？そうですね。バレエだけで作られたっていうよりも、もともと筋肉質でした。So the person is asking whether I attained my muscles through ballet or through other means, and I said that I was always a very muscular baby. When are you gonna finish your university degree? Probably next year, because I'm taking my sweet time and I'm just like doing a lot of other things, and sometimes I take 1 course per semester, sometimes I'm taking 4 courses per semester, so it really depends on my mood and my schedules and all the other wonderful things that go on in life, right? What's your favorite movie? Les Miserables. What would you do if you hung up your dance shoes? Honestly, that is a question that I get asked all the time recently, and the answer is I actually don't know yet. And I think that's okay not to know yet, because look, like I've spent the past, 20 years of my life really dedicating every single aspect of my life into this single thing called ballet. And so far, it's going pretty well, and I'm really quite happy with my career. And I've traveled the world, like I've seen a lot of places, and I've danced a lot of ballets that I've only dreamed about dancing, I met a lot of people, and I'm really, really happy with what I've achieved in my career. So I really actually think that it's also okay to just give myself a little bit of time once I finish dancing, because look, like doing what you love, like providing value into this world through your artwork, through what you love to do, is as good as it gets. It's such a luxurious position that we actually all tend to forget, right? And so I think that it wouldn't really be realistic to expect the same kind of satisfaction from another kind of career. And that's going to take a lot of time to adjust, because when you think about it, like ballet is so built into our identities. Look, like we do ballet from such a young age, and so like ballet is such a strong part of our identity, right? And so like once that goes away, it's like, who in the hell even are you, right? It's just like you're completely lost for a while. And I think that I certainly wouldn't be the only person who would go through like a major identity crisis when they finish ballet, because it's really so built into you. So after ballet, I think I'm going to take a little bit of time to figure out what I really want to do, congratulate myself on the career that I had, and then just kind of see what else sparks my interest. So I don't know yet. Why are you perfect? Thank you, but I'm definitely not. And these kind of questions actually make me really uncomfortable because look, like ballet is an industry where you are constantly trying to attain perfectionism, which doesn't even exist. You know, like if you think about all the things that you're asked to do in ballet, like with your movements, with your body, a lot of times that's not even like attainable, you know? And that's kind of why I've been really careful with the term perfectionism or perfect, because that's sometimes not really healthy. Yeah, but thank you very much. How do you manage to study and dance at the same time? Great question. I have a whole video up here on that, but basically you have to have a lot of dedication, time management, and a lot of coffee, obviously, because, well, in my situation, I stay up very late very often, so I would end like lectures at like 2 a.m. because of the time difference between Boston and Germany. And yes, you also need a very strong purpose, but I'll link the video up here. What are some things that make you insecure? Again, like I have a lot of things that make me insecure, and it's just that I don't really talk about it, you know? And just because I'm not walking around announcing my flaws to everybody, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm really happy with everything. That being said, I think if I were to choose something, it would be ironically the fact that I'm a professional ballet dancer. Like it's so weird because that's an achievement, but it's also strange if you go to a place like Harvard or even like the business school areas and everybody is walking around and you're introducing yourselves and it's just like, hi, like they're like, I'm like the manager of like Goldman Sachs, like I work at like JP Morgan, and I'm just like, hi, like I'm a dancer. So that can be a little strange at the beginning, but it makes for an interesting conversation anyways, and an interesting icebreaker, and it works out in the end because we all get to know each other and it's all based on skills and performances at the end, so it's all good at the end. But you know, it's the initial introduction is really awkward. How to cope with body image issues in the dance world? This is a question that's still really difficult for me to answer because I've had a really difficult time with my body for such a long time. And so, like I said earlier, I stopped weighing myself, and that was a big part of it because I stopped obsessing about the numbers. Also, I had to realize that I needed compassion for myself. So I understood that first and foremost, I'm a human being, then I'm a woman, and then, only then, am I a dancer, you know? And I think that catastrophe happens when this order gets mixed up, you know? And so it's really important to kind of prioritize who you are and what you are and what your values are, because you don't want to be sacrificing your health for ballet no matter how much you love ballet, right? Also, then I think it's really helpful to divert your attention or your focus away from your body and focus on really things that you can actually improve on. So that could be like building your technique, building your network, you know, these are all areas where you could actually improve on. If you think about it, which dancer do you want to see? Do you want to see dancer A, who is like a little small or a little clumsy, doesn't have the perfect body, but is like really happy to be on stage, whereas like dancer B might have the perfect body, but like they might just be like a soulless body like on stage. I think the audience sees right through that, and I think that it's really important to not forget that ballet is not modeling, you know. Ballet is really for people who love to dance, and executing that love for ballet is much more important than having this ballerina body and not really doing anything with it. So stir away your attention from your body. バレエを始めたきっかけは、母がバレエやっていたんでついてきました。So the person is asking how I started ballet, and I said that I followed my mother because she took ballet classes, and then I fell in love with ballet actually. What do you do for fun? I like to play the piano and or cook, so I don't do much. Can I still be a pro if I started late? I don't know what late is for you, but I would say if you're in like your 20s, sorry, I don't think it's realistic. And before you throw anything at me, I'm saying this because look, like ballet takes like 10 plus years to master. A dancer's career is also really short, so I don't think that's really realistic. And even if you do make it, it might, like the competition is so high that it would be really difficult. But you can still dance. It doesn't mean that you can't dance, you know? It's just like as a professional, I don't know. What book are you currently reading? So I actually like to read a couple of books simultaneously and just like alternate depending on my mood. So the books that I'm reading actually are here. So these are the books that I'm reading right now. And so the first book that I'm reading is The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz. And it's a behavioral economics book which explains why more is less. And then the second book that I'm reading is From Strength to Strength by Arthur Brooks. He's actually my professor. And this is actually a book more for people who are like in a midlife crisis, but given the fact that the dancer's career is really short, you know, this is actually a relevant book for me. So it actually is a really well-written and well-researched book, and it focuses on finding like happiness and fulfillment in your second life when your career was your everything. So definitely check it out. The third book that I'm reading is Why Buddhism is True, and it's by Robert Wright, and it is a book that integrates art together with science, and it's a really well-written book as well. My friend recommended it to me. Buddhism is one of those things that I grew up with as a child from Japan, but I took it for granted, so here I am coming back to Buddhism. It's pretty cool. And then the final book that I'm reading is actually my favorite one. It's called Man's Search for Himself by Rollo May, and he is actually the founder of existential psychology. And his argument is that all, you know, anxiety, stress, and disease, almost all of it comes from the fact that we don't actually have a meaning of life. So this has been really enlightening, and especially when I go nowadays on, you know, a lot of social media platforms, and I see sometimes such superficial things that are going viral, you know, like we've all seen those things, you know, and sometimes I'm really like devastated to say the very least, you know, and then I'm just coming back to this book because it keeps my sanity, and then I'm just like, Rollo May, help me. So that's my book for those moments. All right, I think that I'm going to finish the Q&A session today for now, because my camera keeps on turning off today because it's like overheating or whatever, and it's a real struggle, boss. Also because it's my first time doing a Q&A session here on YouTube as opposed to on Instagram, so it would really mean a lot to me if you guys can actually tell me how you guys like this new format, or if you guys like the older version better. Yeah, thank you so much for all these questions, and I know that we couldn't get to all of them today, but I am looking forward to our next time we have our Q&A session, and thank you guys so much for watching until the end. If you haven't visited my Instagram page, here it is. It's over here. Just come and say hi, and yeah, that's about it. So thank you guys, and I'll wish you a very nice day. Bye!